Hello and welcome to yet another Warcraft the audio production commentary casting style Broadway play. That's what this is. It's Broadway play. This is ZOTAC Finals, ZOTAC number 256, played just earlier today. Amazing match, but I do have to say, yeah, I know it's Undead versus Human. I know the whole thing. I'm gonna do all 5 games. So the whole thing, Undead vs Human. I know that I said I wasn't, I was gonna work on the variety, but I can't help the fact that Lucifer and Thu are the people who made it to the ZOTAC finals. So I'm really excited about this. Pretty awesome. That is Lucifer's Twitch TV stream. That link right there that he just shared, I watch that fairly often. I recommend everyone else who wants to watch Lucifer play to watch that. He'll stream Warcraft 3, League of Legends, and various other little things. He's really a good streamer. The problem is, of course, he doesn't have that great of quality on his stream, and his sound is awful. He's got that classic Lucifer, terrible, or his horrible sound. But anyway, back to the game. Let's do a formal introduction. We have Lucifer, the red undead, spawning in the top right corner, versus Thu, the purple human, spawning in the lower left corner. So we do see Archmage versus Footman. We do have this kind of, again, almost traditional Lucifer opening that we've been seeing very often here recently. But he has so many different styles and play strategies, as we'll see throughout this 5 series. He's a very dynamic player. So it's quite cool. This is amazing right here what happens. I have to watch this again because I watched these games live and I wanted to cast them live. Unfortunately, didn't really work out that way. I don't quite have the setup for quality or whatever to really provide a quality commentary live. See, look at that. That's such a good move. The Footman was right there and the Acolyte drawed those over and then caused this guy to take so much damage. He's in coil range now. He has to go all the way hide in his base so he doesn't die. That's such a good use of your Acolyte early on. You get your scouting information. I do believe he actually ended up getting the 25 experience. I'm not entirely sure from killing it. I think the Footman did get the last hit on the Acolyte, but beyond that, it was well worth it for Lucifer, in my opinion. Absolutely.
Player's forces are under attack.
So yeah, now. What's going on here is we're going to see that Lucifer goes ahead and prefers the attack instead of getting a Fiend. He's obviously going for Fiends, and sometimes you'll see different playstyles from different undeads. A lot of the differences is that sometimes you'll see a Ziggurat get placed down after the attack, or before the Fiend, or sometimes you'll see the Fiend go and then the Ziggurat. There's really a lot of different ways to do it, and there's different reasons for all of the ways to do it. In this game, Lucifer's getting a great harass on this Archmage, and so it's good to pull out this Fiend early on, and just because this way, if Lucifer does kind of... One of the things a lot of humans will do whenever they get a little bit of a poor thing going on in the early game, they're a little desperate and just immediately try to get for that the expo a little bit sooner than they otherwise normally would, because it kind of works sometimes. Now, that may not be a very strategical explanation of it, but I don't really have one, sorry. Either way, I'm just saying that's something that kind of happens, so it's good to pull out an earlier Fiend rather than go for the Ziggurat, and that's just one of the reasons that you might do that. It's also not a bad idea in those cases where you do have an early lead to wait and pull down a Ziggurat and then get your second 2 Fiends coming out kind of a little bit quicker, to get your second Fiend out quicker, because if you do the Ziggurat, I do believe the second Fiend comes out a bit quicker than doing it this way. Either way, it's not a big deal. Getting this Fiend out, and as you can see, it's going to work out pretty well for the time. And now, like I said, I watched these games live. I watched all 5 of them live, so I kind of already know what's happening and what's going to happen. So
player's forces are under attack.
I don't know. I'm gonna try to not spoil anything at all. That's my goal. But it'll be a little bit contrived, maybe sometimes. We'll see. But yeah. So as you can see, this Crypt Fiend is surrounded and it's gonna die, and there's really nothing there. The Death Knight died to creeps, so the Archmage did not get the experience, and I probably should have looked at that because I knew that was coming. But as you can see, this is really a really excellent start for Thu. This is pretty much as good as you could ask for. He's level 3, he's going to be able to immediately, this Arcane Vault's going to go up very much immediately. He's going to grab a healing scroll, and all these low HP units are going to get pretty much to full. And yeah, at that lead, as you can see, absolutely very big lead for Thu in this case. So As you can see, he's doing all of this stuff that you would like to see as a human to do. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 peasants right there, one on the scout tower. Really good spread for the peasants to build. Allows them to get this up really fast, get that tower up. The tower is the tower is important, even though he does have this lead because you need the tower. Lucifer is back at here, and he's like, okay, well, I'm just trying to creep this. Lucifer knows that this is coming. He knows that the Archmage is coming. He knew it was level 3. He knew that he was behind. He was like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and creep out a little bit anyway. He coils it. He's like, I have to get this done because I need the XP. Because he needs to get aura. He needs aura very, very badly. So he's like, I'm going to be able to pick off a footman here or a footman or two, and that's going to give me aura. And that's really important when you are in sort of a bad position because, again, as you can see, these fiends, they need to be faster and they need to get extra regeneration when fighting against these footmen, especially when you only have 2 of them against this many footmen. He's got these ghouls right here, and he's pulled them just in case he needs to bring them, but he doesn't want to take them out this far. He needs the wood that he's getting from the ghouls. He doesn't want to risk losing any of them if he doesn't have to. He's saying, okay, I'm going to only use them probably if a unit can really come into the Halls of Dead slow range, which is about right here. So as you can see, they're really close, and they kept walking out about right here. So if a thing had gotten caught, which, you know, would be probably right about here, and got caught by the slow, then he would have been able to immediately have the ghouls attacking, and probably would have netted a kill from that. So that was really good preemptive play, even though it didn't really pan out in this case. It was useful just to do, which is one of those little things that you've got to really do as a professional player. You really need to know those little things that you need to do, such as moving your ghouls from back here to up here when you need to, and also not overextending, because he could have easily overextended right there and just had those ghouls doing nothing, not chopping wood, and you would be way behind on wood right now. So pretty much just keeping a calm head, doing a great job in this game so far, besides for the immediate early start where it kinda went badly. But it wasn't that bad before that, before his Death Knight died and before his Fiend got trapped, but just at that point everything kind of fell apart. But
a player's forces
at least
are
he didn't
under
feed
attack.
too much XP to the human, and Thu has gone ahead and placed down a sentry ward, and that's going to be very vital because whenever you have vision of your opponent's base, and you know, for as long as you're going to have it, which I believe is 6 minutes on a sentry ward, 300 seconds, I guess it's a little bit, I'm not sure, I can't do math in my head. So yeah, whatever that is, I think it's about 6 minutes. It's a long time to have vision in your opponent's base, and it's really just vital in a lot of cases to have something like that, especially in a human versus undead game. I've said repeatedly, and I can't stress it enough, how important hero levels and experience is in this matchup. However, for the human, it's also just about equally important to be able to harass the undead's base at pristine times. That is really one of the biggest weaknesses as an undead player. A lot of people will say, you know, undead has an amazing base, and it's true. Again, I do kind of recognize. Oh, we have a sapper running into the undead base. The ghouls are on that, and he's going to have to blow it up prematurely, and he does. It doesn't actually take out any damage or any buildings, but it does pretty much bring 2 ziggurats and a slaughterhouse all to half-life. It's a little bit of damage to those ghouls, and the ghoul's going to get picked off for that. We do see the acolytes running away a little bit, and just a little bit of all-around tomfoolery for this undead. He's lost 2 ghouls. That's a drastic hit to his wood count. He's going to lose his other ghoul. Drastic hit to his wood count. He's already remaking the ghouls because he needs those really badly. And all of his acolytes are repairing the spirit tower. If the spirit tower goes down, he's in trouble. Also, I should have probably been doing this as well, covering this as well. He's been basically fighting towers down here because Thu wants to get up lots of towers, and this is kind of the dynamic that kind of we're going to see recur throughout this entire series of games. The dynamic of, I'm going to fight your expo from Lucifer while you fight my base. And the reason for this is because if too many towers go up here, then fighting the expo becomes much harder. And you can see that we have a tier 2 play. And the reason that we're seeing the tier 2 play, the reason that we're seeing Lucifer being willing to trade, you know, his ghouls and his wood and all that time and a lot of damage on his buildings to kill just towers and peasants at this expo is because he does not want to let Thu just have an expo that runs up freely with his base that's going to be teching up freely. He does not want Thu to get to the late game human army. The late game human army is simply stronger than the undead army. I know that's kind of a cliche, but that's pretty much the way it is. Like, in all honesty, the undead does not want to go and fight late game versus late game against human. It's just not your goal. You can't, it's winnable. I'm not going to say it's a completely unwinnable fight. It's definitely winnable, but it's something that you don't want to do, and that's why you're going to see people being so aggressive with these expos. And at the same time, also, on top of that, if you do give a human an expo, then you really have to be able to put up a counter expo or really do a lot of damage to it. And this is the way Lucifer's been playing, is just, I'm going to do a lot of damage to it. Ideally, you do both, but either way works. And this is probably a little bit better because of the fact that you need the XP. You need XP. Again, hero levels decide this matchup so very often. But this is quite an interesting style. I personally haven't seen anyone else play quite like this, the way that Lucifer's playing. And so if someone else has played like this, and this isn't a Lucifer style, feel free to correct me. What I mean by that is doing the heavy spirit tower, the long 2-2. I've seen there are plenty of undeads right now doing the long 2-2, and I'm sure we'll see more. I'm sure just getting the spirit tower is probably kind of a natural progression from that, but at the same time, I just haven't really seen anyone do it quite the way that Lucifer does it, with all the spirit towers, and really being so aggressive at, just fighting this expo, while he just worries about using incredible base management. And it's basically putting yourself in the same shoes that the human goes into, except I do think it's a little bit harder probably to micro 5 acolytes, all around your buildings and things and your goals, than it would be to micro peasants on the towers. However, not to detract from the human, of course, I think, I'm not trying to provide a commentary on which is a more difficult thing to do, even though I may have kind of said that. That's not quite what I meant. What I mean is just that, as a human player, that's kind of the dynamic of it a lot of the times, because you're harassing the undead base while also defending your base. The only difference, like I said, is that, or what I mean, there's the only difference that I would mean is that the ghouls and your acolytes, this is it, that's all you have. And it's quite expensive to rebuild these, it's quite expensive to repair these, and if these die, that's like all of your resource income, compared to, losing a couple of peasants, where, you still have your full gold income, and you still have most of your wood income. You can have, like, lots of extra wood income without it being really that detrimental. Here comes a sapper coming in. This could be really bad if it actually goes off, and it goes off. That's not good for Lucifer. That's really unfortunate. Lucifer is going to be able... Well, Lucifer actually is at 69 food, and if this acolyte dies before it gets a gold tick off, and it's been stunned, so it's going to go down without getting a gold tick off, Lucifer is not able to rebuild his acolyte, and so that means he cannot mine any more gold, and his slaughterhouse has died, and he doesn't have but one statue down here that's very low on mana and very low on life. And if Lucifer loses a statue, that is his only lifeline right now in this game, because he doesn't have any more gold. And while we do know that he does have good hero levels, they're 4-3 against 4-1, and he could potentially win any of these fights over this expo down here. If he loses a statue, it's going to be very, very hard, because he won't have the mana regeneration, he won't really have the life regeneration that he needs to continue to fight an uphill battle, which is what this is, because his opponent is going to be mining off 2 expos, or 2 gold mines, versus Lucifer just mining off of 1. This is quite, the Death Knight's very low, and the Mountain King, if the Mountain King gets a bolt off on the Death Knight, he may be able to kill it. The Death Knight, or the Mountain King, instead decides to bolt the Fiend, which gets foiled just in the nick of time, through Ghost first round, but slightly too late, and the Fiend gets away. Again, however, the statue has died. The statue died, that's it, that's his lifeline. He can't remake a statue because he doesn't have a slaughterhouse. He can't, he had to wait until he could sell the Slippers of Agility off of his Lich in order to remake another Acolyte. So he's really behind right now. He's really tough in this out. He has to do some creeping so he can get gold from the creeps, but it's not a whole lot of gold from those creeps, and he's just going to have to do that. But the problem here is that if he had a slaughterhouse, he would be able to remake the statue, and he would actually be a lot better off. But without that, he's going to have to hold out until he gets 5 acolytes or 3 or 4 acolytes and begins to be able to build a slaughterhouse, and he has to wait for that to go up, and then he has to wait for the statue to come out. And that's going to be a long time to hold off what is essentially going to be a 2-base human against basically, a very ragtag army right here. And he is creeping. Again, if he can get 5-5, that would be excellent for him. But his opponent is also creeping, and he is 4-1, and he's very close to 5-2. And really, if you're 5-2 on a map like this, you have this red, and these 2 oranges, and this orange, and this orange. As you can see, they're all very close together. If you're at this point, you're at 5-2, you're very close to 5-3. So, I'm very interested to say that. I don't even know what I'm saying. All I'm trying to say is Lucifer is way behind right now. it's a doable victory, but it's going to be very hard. And because of the fact that there are sorcerers out on the map now, it's going to be even harder because Lucifer is not tier 3. And when you're having to fight casters without destroyers, it is incredibly difficult, even if you do have a level advantage, because then your units get picked off and your ability to micro becomes a whole lot worse. So if your units are moving super slow, you can't really save them as easily. You can't really get them out of the way, and they start to die. And you only have this many units, and you're in this sort of a position where you don't really have wood, you don't really have gold, you really don't have the units you need. Then it's really scary. It's a scary position for the undead to be in, because he just doesn't have what it takes at this point to really fight. And the human's getting quite close to his base. The human does have 2 very healthy gold mines running up, 3 towers over here, 3 towers over here. There's really nothing that that Lucifer can go and do through, and it looks like as the DK gets bolted and probably surrounded, Lucifer calls good game. So that's game 1, everybody. Stay tuned to game 2. This is an amazing series. You don't want to miss out.